Confidence is basically just another word for assurance. So if you're not confident in yourself, nobody's going to be confident in you either. Literally, it's to the point that if you exude confidence, literally studies have shown that women are going to find you way more attractive. Everybody's going to think you that much more funny. Everybody's going to think you're that much more competent. Everybody's going to assume you to be that much more trustworthy. And it's all in the tone of your voice, the energy that you bring, and the energy that you exude. Think about it. Let's say you're on the plane, right? And there's hella turbulence. It's just like, fuck. You're like, no, what the fuck is going on? And the pilot just talks in the most calm voice ever. He says, don't worry, guys. It'll be all good, you know? Just small little turbulence. You're like, small? What the fuck is good? Just a small little bit of turbulence, you know? It's gonna be good. I give it about another 5 minutes or so of this shit. Don't worry about it, man. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? Now, even though you're going through that difficult situation, it's still gonna cause you to be that much more calm and that much more trustful of the situation that you're in, because the situation that you're in is in the hands of the pilot. So you're gonna be that much more trustworthy of it because he's so calm in this situation and he's in the driver's seat and he has to deal with the exact same consequences that you have to deal with. Therefore, you're gonna perceive that person to be trustworthy. So you're gonna be like, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. It's not that bad. It's okay. It's okay. Versus if you were in the exact same situation and the nigga got on the teleprompter and said, holy shit, holy fuck, holy shit, I don't know what the hell is going on. They said it was gonna be a little turbulence. What the fuck is going on in Miami, bro? The plane will literally crash because y'all are gonna crash out. Y'all are gonna be trying to open up the exit door, yelling at the flight attendant, you said this shit was gonna be straight. Smacking snacks down, dropping water, niggas gonna be having heart attacks. And the only thing that really changed was how confident the person was that was driving the plane. Now understand, once you enter into a situation with another person, you're basically becoming the driver in that situation because they have to trust you not to what? Either backstab them, either fuck with them. Way worse shit when it comes from the female's perspective. Don't even want to bring up all the shit that can go wrong there. So they have to look at you and see the confidence that you exude to determine whether or not you're a trustworthy individual and whether or not they should go with you on a date or whether or not they should even be involved with you. This is why the difference between a creep, somebody who has quote unquote game, is the person who is doing the actions or are saying the things and the confidence that they're exuding when they're doing it. Because if they assume you to be a weirdo and you're saying the words and you aren't having confidence in the air that you breathe and you aren't exuding this confidence in your movements and you're moving all hella fast, twitchy, and hella weird and shit, they're going to assume you to be harassing them because they're now viewing you with a certain kind of lens. Understand, when people are perceiving you, they're seeing you as a packaged deal. And women are very perceptive of social cues. They have to be for their survival. So they're perceiving the way that you're saying the things, the energy that you're exuding, how your body language, your tonality, your punctuality, everything at one time, whether or not people are looking at you weird, whether or not you're acting weird, whether or not you're doing this thing in a very weird manner, whether or not it seems like it's your first time doing this or not. All these things are influencing her perception of you, which is going to determine whether or not she thinks you have game or whether or not she thinks you're a fucking weirdo. And you can literally say the exact same thing, but how the person is saying it, who is saying it, the energy that the person is exuding is what influencing how her reaction is going to be. And her reaction can be anything within two extremes, whether she's just fucking infatuated with what's going on. She's like, oh my gosh, this is great. Yay. I got this attractive person telling me all this good shit. Versus Mr. Weirdo, she's like, yo, this nigga's harassing me, bro. Get this nigga away from me. Because somebody who is unconfident in themselves and acting weird is going to signal the fear response. You're literally signaling the fear response once you walk up to somebody acting all weird and shit. So what you need to do is, even if you feel nervous, exude confidence when you're moving, and you're going to literally be perceived as 10 times more attractive. It's literally been proven that with twins who look the exact same, with relatively similar IQs, with all the exact same stats, who will themselves differently, are seen as literally levels as more attractive or less attractive than each other because of how they're wielding themselves. So if this person is extremely confident and outgoing, and this person is overtly isolated, doesn't know how to speak to people, or acting very weird with people, or acting very unsure of themselves with people, they're going to assume you to be some weirdo and they're not going to be attracted to you. I told you, nothing is seen in isolation, not any of your traits, not your looks, anything. Everything is influencing perception, and what they're seeing with is unironically their feelings in a way. Attraction isn't seen, it's felt from a whole bunch of different stimuli that's influencing her subconsciously to be attractive to you. They're not logically attracted to anybody ever. They're going to either feel that way or not. So like, yeah, man, your body language can literally make you look more or less attractive. It's the craziest thing ever. Literally all these things are influencing perception. Think about it. It doesn't change once attraction is involved. Perception is still perception. You think a nigga's fast if he's moving fast. You think a nigga's slow if he's moving slow. You think somebody's weird if they're walking like, hey. You think somebody's lame if they're having these fast twitch movements and shit. And all these things are going to be influencing her subconsciously and consciously, and determine whether or not she's going to find you attractive attractive once she perceives you. So basically, it's up to you to determine whether or not you're going to be attractive that day, which is crazy to say. Like, I'm never going to forget this shit, bro. I once seen this person who was perceived to be cool by the girl who didn't even know her. He didn't know her at all, but he walked up to her from behind. She looked and smiled at this nigga. This one nigga who looked kind of like Cleveland Jr. He kind of smelled weird. He was, you know what I mean? He was kind of weird. He was kind of lame. He never really spoke out loud, but he came and did the exact same thing a few weeks later. Dog, she smacked the shit out that nigga, bruh. He got kicked out the school because she reported him and said that he was harassing her too. Yet these two different individuals who lived on these entirely different extremes did the exact same thing. No difference, but one was being perceived to be an endearing act of sensuality versus one who was just harassing the person. So that's literally the difference between the two, which is insane to say, but that's the difference between the two. It's like if, let's say, some scrawny, goofy guy walked in the room, right, and smacked you in the back of your shit. He said, "Rap yo, dumb nigga," smacked you in your shit, right? You'd be like, you ready to punch him in the shit, bro. But let's say Debo did it. You'd be like, dear Debo, if my boy Debo just playing this shit, man, my nigga Debo. Debo can get away with murder because you perceive him to be that nigga versus Mr. Scrawny, weak person. You perceive him to be lame versus like he's just some threat that you can easily take care of. So yes, man, don't take everything so serious. Mr. Nice Guy, you can literally just stop being the person that you were being this entire time. You, my friend, were conditioned since a child to believe that if you were just the most obedient, if you listened to every single thing that the teacher said, if you just sat there crisscross applesauce, never spoke to any of your friends, never once raised your voice in class, never once decided to question the perceived authority, that being the teacher, never decided to do what you actually wanted to do, never decided to break a few of the rules, you believe that you will always continue to have good outcomes happen to you. But that was not true. See, once you did those actions back then, they gave you the golden star. They propped you up like you were better than every other student. They gave you a golden star every single time you were the most obedient. Good job, Money Mike. Good job, Money Mike. Good job, Money Mike. You got 50 stars, Money Mike. You can finally get a pizza now. You're the student of the month. Let's hang your picture up. I'm Money Mike. I'm the most obedient. Now, that has now become a mechanism for you to get the best possible outcome in your life that you thought worked in every single scenario. But understand, that only worked within the parameters of that fixed situation where that one perceived authority that you had, that teacher, controlled the outcomes. Once you got to the real world, you had to deal with an infinite amount of variables, human psychology, all these crazy things happening, uncertainty, a million different authorities in a million different places, and there's not one incompetent perceived authority controlling every single outcome. You had to deal with that, and you had no idea what to do. You didn't realize that life was a puzzle that you had to solve. You didn't realize that if you didn't step on a few toes to get to where you wanted to go, this shit, you'll always stay at the exact same place. You didn't realize that it wasn't the most competent person that always got promoted. You didn't realize that it wasn't always the most obedient person who always got promoted. You didn't realize that the person who gets what he wants is the person who is willing to put themselves on the line in order to get it. You didn't build the risk tolerance because you weren't able to deviate from the rules that authority figure was telling you. You thought if you simply just obeyed that authority figure, good outcomes will come to pass every single time. You were totally wrong. You didn't realize that sometimes in order to make something good happen, you have to step out into chaos. That means carving a path that isn't carved out for you. Stepping out in chaos brings innovation. Stepping out in chaos brings evolution. Stepping out in chaos brings adaptability. But you stayed in that resigned existence and thought that if you were the most obedient, you thought if you were the most agreeable, that everything good would always happen to you. But you were proven wrong once you stepped out of that confining zone, my friend. Once you left those parameters, you were absolutely cooked. So you came to the conclusion that, fuck, man, nice guys finish last. Satoru Gojo taught us this lesson with Megumi Fushiguro, basically, bro. See, Megumi Fushiguro was the nice guy. His trump card in every single battle was that, you know what? If my back is against the wall, I'm not going to risk my life to win. I'm afraid of uncertainty. I'm afraid of chaos. I only want to exist within these parameters that I'm comfortable with, which is certainty. Therefore, I'll just sacrifice my life, call that nigga Maharaga, which will win the battle, but ultimately lose the war for me. What this meant is that Megumi Fushiguro would never surpass his limits, because in order for you to surpass your limits, you must face uncertainty. You must put yourself on the line and face death in order to actually be able to become truly strong. This is why that nigga never surpassed Maki, or was able to surpass Maki, because he had that limited mindset. He thought that if things just got too bad, you know what, man? Just call my Maharaga. Please, Maharaga, come. And once Maharaga comes, he dies and he gets the win. He basically wasn't ever facing loss. He understood that he can defeat his enemy in every single battle because he had this ultimate trump card. But by doing that, he defeat himself also. So he basically just have to have a draw in order to win the battle. But by having that ultimate trump card, he was never able to put himself on the line to constantly have that a chance to adapt to the situations and put himself out there to allow new traits to be fostered during that high level battle for his survival, which is why somebody like Yuji would just to get stronger, overtly stronger every single battle, because he entered every single fight believing that he'd win. He never was the sacrificial pawn. Megami flaunted himself like a sacrificial pawn in its own game, while Yuji thought, you know what, I'm the king, and I'll just keep fighting, and I'll just keep fighting no matter what. I'm just gonna have my unbreakable will. It doesn't matter who I fight against. It doesn't matter if I get my legs chopped off, my eye cut, if my friends die. I'm going to keep fighting, because victory is going to be dictated by me, not some fucking Maharaga that I'm going to summon that's going to allow me to finally win this battle. That's why Gojo told him, you have this infinite potential, yet you'll never be able to surpass me, or anybody else for that matter, because of that limiting mindset. If you aren't willing to face chaos and face uncertainty, or step out into chaos and step out into uncertainty and try to produce a path that'll lead to your victory, but risk death while trying to win, then you'll always be a loser. You notice how Toji was different than Megami? You know what Toji could have did? This did lead to his death, but let me just tell you the mindset as to how Toji got here in the first place. This nigga had no cursed energy. He had a heavenly restriction. He had basically everything going wrong for him, but he saw Gojo. He realized that if he was to beat Satoru Gojo, then he'd be considered the #1 sorcerer in the world. He wanted to take the entire world of Jujutsu sorcery down. He wanted to risk his life in order to achieve that goal, instead of just destroying the star plasma vessel and just walking out unscathed, you know what, just smiling, yay, nah. What he wanted to do was put Gojo on his neck to become the best. He wanted to risk his life in order to gain something. He was willing to risk that uncertainty of fighting Satoru Gojo, the strongest sorcerer of the modern age, in order to have a better outcome happen to him. He came and he saw, but he came and he lost. But the mindset still allowed him to become pretty much the strongest sorcerer, or the strongest character of his time period. It allowed him to become a genuine legend. Megami, on the other hand, was getting absolutely clapped by randoms, like that blind random that had that weak ass curse technique, while he literally had the top 2 curse technique in the entire verse. Sukuna got that curse technique and was literally able to beat Gojo, who was, I think Gojo was low-key way stronger than him. But as soon as he got that curse technique, he was able to beat him because he had the correct mindset. He was willing to face uncertainty to gain something better. He was willing to put himself out there in chaos to get something better. The new path forward is always carved in chaos, or else it would have just been something that somebody else had carved out for him. That path is going to be uncertain. There's not going to be footprints in the sand to show you where to go. You're going to have to just make them yourself. So you got to risk uncertainty. But along that path, or at the end of that path, or maybe somewhere along that path, you might find something that's absolutely amazing, or you might find nothing, or what you might find is absolutely horrible. But that gamble is the gamble of life. And if you want something better, you have to be able to face that. And if you have that Megami Fushiguro mindset, or the mindset of the teacher's pet archetype, you're always going to stay within these fixed parameters that you have for yourself. You'll only ever be at best a sacrificial pawn in a game that only exists in your head.